Trying to be a little more functional. Make sure everything's in place. Birds are in place. You can hear them in the background. Trying to make sure that I hope that you guys are having a great day. The day started off well for you. A little bit of a tough start for me today physically. Sister Deja, if you can, um, I sent out another email blast today. If you can, um, if you could send me an email, and that way I can make sure, because I'm not sure if I got it to you or not. We had so many on the list today. I was pretty sure I tried to set up a new list for the people we're going to send stuff out to. I'm not sure if you got the email or not, but if everybody can check the email for me, make sure that you got the form. We tried to send it out again since we had a lot of people saying they didn't get it for the event in October. And then after that, we'll try to send another list. But if you guys can check your email for us, make sure that you got the email. We greatly appreciate it. Um, but was trying to take care of that stuff. It ended up having signal issues again. So it is what it is, but we're on. We're ready to go. Excited to talk about today, to go into more frequently asked questions today. And we'll see how, I'm just being honest, we'll see how I'm feeling today. We might have to cut it shorter than what we normally do. However, we will make sure that we're obedient. Got a couple things I'm trying to reserve some energy today before things go a little more, a little more is put on me. But we're thankful, we're grateful. We appreciate you guys. Um, may the words of my mouth and the meditation of mine heart be acceptable in Yahweh's sight. He is our strength and our redeemer. And it's in his name, which is his authority, that we pray, praise, proclaim, project, and protect this message. Amen. Amen. Um, thanks for being on with us today, everyone. And excited to be in front of you all. I know, like, once again, it might not necessarily seem like it, but I promise we are trying to oh, cool. Trying some stuff with some lighting stuff today. See if that helps some. Okay, cool. So hopefully we'll have this is my first time trying the lighting thing. My wife went out and blessed me with this so we can see if we do a little better. So hopefully you'll be able to see my face from this angle. How you doing, Cash? How you doing, Dawn? To everybody who's on here, TC Brown, Anubis, Jay, Anthony, Valisa, and Early. Forgive me if I can't remember names of everybody yet. Getting there, Deja, Miss Mac, and Miss Mac. I don't know if you were on yesterday, but thank you again for what you did for the community. You know what you did. You didn't have to do it. We appreciate you so very much. Minister Tamara, if I didn't say so already, Sister Barbara, Ransom, Butterfly Effect. Oh gosh, Butterfly Effect. I'm about to call you the wrong name. Asked you before. I said the wrong name. I said Kendra, but it's not Kendra. It starts with a C. I'm having an issue with the name. Having a moment here. But thank you guys for being on today. Appreciate it. Sister Betty, Keith, True Origin, Big Brother Thomas, if I didn't say so already. Hello, Sister Tracy. To Lottie Dottie, everybody, to everybody. Christina. I was trying to say Crystal, and I was like, no, that's not it. I had the CR sound right at least. But it'll get there. It takes me a while to translate the virtual name to the actual name. But thank you guys for being on. And said you don't drink coffee, but this is your cup of coffee. Oh, amen, amen. So y'all keep me in prayer as we go through this today. I'm gonna be careful. I'm trying to make sure that I'm resting and stuff. Well, I was gonna say something, but I don't know if that's everybody's business yet. But basically, just keep me in prayer. I think I've found some things that I need to that probably will help. Even though we're still not 100% there, we're getting better with project management and things like that, to where I'll be able to take a little bit of time more time to self and things like that. So just pray for us and keep us in prayer. And we appreciate you. To the Honorable Maya, we're thankful to her, my wife, the Honorable Maya, who lives a life that's able to be honored and even got us on this new track that we're on as far as this new series, and her getting the book that we're using and utilizing for the most part. Once again, if you're on, please take time out to check your email. We do have a playlist of songs. I got to double check to see if we do have one song available for you guys to listen in for those who might be interested in helping out with donations through helping out with the album and stuff like that. We do have shirts on teespring.com as well. So those are things that are there. I do apologize for those that were looking for us last night. Just couldn't get stuff together, signal, stuff like that, and had a hard time this rising. It looks like we're all right though for this rising. So thank you everybody for hanging in there, for your patience. And we're going to continue on this series today, speaking specifically on frequently asked questions. You know, yesterday we kind of started off, and you can ask whatever questions, whatever it is. Uh, I'll try to put my email address in the chat, but it's for some reason when I try to put stuff in there and comment, it doesn't always go. But actually, let me click on. I'll try to see if I can send it to you directly. Let me see. It does some weird stuff, but hopefully we'll have this together. So I tried to put it in the chat. I don't know if you can see it or not. If not, I can try and spell it out. Let me know if you see it before we get started, so we make sure we take care of that real quick. Can you see it, Sister Deja? You see anything in the chat from me? Email address? If not, maybe if somebody else can help out, I can spell it out. Do you see it in the chat? Yes, no, maybe so. Hopefully you will. So we're talking about FAQ, frequently asked questions. You don't? Okay. So it is my name. Yeah, I don't know why it is that you guys can't see when I type in the chat, but it's my name up top, Kofi Ofori, without the underscore, and without the number 3, just Kofi Ofori, KOFIOFORI, and then add 082 at gmail.com. It's KOFIOFORI 082 at gmail.com. All right. Hopefully you got that. KOFIOFORI 082 at gmail.com. And just send me just in case, and I can resend the link that we sent out to everybody else. Yeah, thanks, babe. My wife put it on there as well. Kofi of 40082. I can see your comments, Minister Tamer. I don't know if anybody can see mine. My wife just put it in the chat, so I don't know why. Whenever I put something in the chat, nobody seems to be able to see it. But yeah. So if I see you while I'm on, I will make sure that once I get that email from you, Sister Deja, I'll make sure that we send it out to you. So, because for whatever reason, like I tried. Usually it'll have the person's name attached to the thing on Gmail, but I guess I didn't put that in correctly or something, but I can't see it. So, but just let me know if you see it, and we'll take it from there. But thank you everybody for being on. So these frequently asked questions. Yesterday we started off with, is there proof that God exists, basically, or does God exist? And we talked about that, and then we launched from there into some other things. Today, and part 2, we're going to start off with a question about forgiveness. And the question that that we're going to use today is, does Elohim, or does Elohim, or how do we ask for forgiveness? What is the position of forgiveness? If we need forgiveness, how do we ask for said forgiveness? That's what we're going to focus on today, and we'll start there for today. And once again, thank you everybody for being on, taking time out to listen in. And whatever questions, comments, or concerns that you have, please feel free to put them in the chat. If it's something that I'm not getting to quickly enough, we have a Q&A box if you're on TikTok. So try and put that in the Q&A box. If you're on YouTube or the podcast, feel free to put it in the chat, or if you were on the podcast, you can actually call in, and we'll try our best to make sure that we answer you if you call in your questions. But so when people ask about forgiveness, first of all, we have to talk about a few different things. Right? So, and once again, this is FAQ. So if you have questions, feel free to let them fly. For the next little while, I'm not sure how long, but we'll be dealing specifically with frequently asked questions. So, but forgiveness is something people ask about. Forgiveness. You said, was that correct email? My email that was out? Yeah, Kofi40082@gmail.com. No spaces, of course. But my name, KOFIOFORI. Okay, cool. Yeah, I see you, Sister Deja. All right. So, but we're going to start off today asking about forgiveness, right? How does one ask for forgiveness? And then really we have to talk about a positioning in our lives that allows us to be able to not only ask, but have a mindset to ask, and to then not only ask for it, but then to receive it. And Sister Deja, you should have got a link for it that popped up in your email. So forgiveness is something that's powerful. It's something that's necessary, and it's something that's necessary because obviously we have a bloodline that goes through us, right? A DNA memory, a spiritual things that go on, the spirit, the pneumatical thoughts, the soul, the psyche, the psychology, and the body, the physiology, right? And so we literally every day are falling short simply because of things that are flowing through. Um, Literally every day we're having issues with a lot of stuff because there's a lot of stuff that falls through because we are not flawless. We are working on being perfected, and because we are working on perfection or getting to perfection, we need to be perfected, which means that every day we should be looking for forgiveness, not only from the Most High, also forgiving ourselves, which is something that I struggle with, if I be honest, from time to time, and I know some others do as well. And then also forgiveness of others, and we should be asking for forgiveness from others. Um, this is a huge place because a lot of people don't think about forgiveness, and forgiveness is difficult because we have been taught something that's very detrimental concerning forgiveness. Um, Forgiveness is not a reaction, right? We should not be reactionary when it comes to forgiveness, and yet forgiveness for us is a reaction, right? Now, what you should comprehend is that forgiveness is something that will cause your reaction if you have it correct. We're going to try and make that make more sense in a little bit. But forgiveness is very difficult for people because a lot of us come from a place of we have if somebody does me wrong, then I start thinking about forgiving, rather than I should already be in a place where I'm tapped into forgiveness. So when somebody does wrong, I should automatically be able to just simply extend who I already am. We can become forgiveness for somebody. Your forgiveness can be the thing that allows somebody to be launched to the next dimension. Your lack of forgiveness can be something that causes somebody to stay still and be locked up. And um, your not forgiving can be something that causes you to be locked up. Your forgiving can be something that allows you to be launched to the next dimension. Um, and so we have to think about forgiveness in a different manner than what we do, and we have to bring the culture, right? You said forgiveness is for the weak. Well, then, I guess you'll be strong, and you can be strong and deal with all the physical issues and things like that, and spiritual issues, whatever that come with it. But for those that are willing to say that, hey, we have weaknesses, because even the strongest people, they become stronger because they deal with their weaknesses. So, there's some people that say, I won't forgive because it'll make me feel weak. Well, if you're somebody who's not, I look at it in the opposite end. Why are you not strong enough to forgive? Forgiveness is not a reaction. Forgiveness is something that's part of who you are. See, we look at it the wrong way. How you doing, Sister Mary? We look at it the wrong way. To forgive literally is to, before somebody does something, I give them the right to do it. That's a working definition that we use here to help people with forgiveness, right? So if you come from a culture that says that I can only forgive somebody if I forgive somebody, I have to lower myself, and humbling yourself means that you're weak, then yeah, that is part of a very romanticized culture that says that you can't forgive. Um, that's why people, destroy. That's why there are people that destroy whole groups of people. That's why there are people that have to pull out a gun and shoot somebody, and they'd rather live the rest of their lives behind bars than actually find a way to be able to move on. Um, and that's an issue that comes with it. My wife says, I think it takes a lot of strength to forgive and courage to release someone from your fears. Yeah, you know, um, very true. And there's a lot of people who are. Um, and how you doing, Chris? By the way, I need to reach out to you. I was thinking about you the other day. It's been over time again, you know. But forgiveness, it glorifies Yah. It brings us to another dimension. It helps us as far as strength. And a lot of people don't have to. You got to be courageous to forgive. It takes courage to forgive. It takes a lot to forgive, and many people, it takes lifting. It takes a certain psychology to forgive, and a lot of people are not able or not even willing to do so. But it takes a lot. It takes a lot for people to be able to forgive, and unfortunately, a lot of people don't have that. But once again, it's because a lot of people take forgiveness and look at it from the wrong place, right? It's a very high frequency, sure. Yeah, think about it. Anything that the Most High does for you to be able to do it, you know, that would to be in tune with Him. But once again, it comes from a cultural perspective, right? So many people talk about forgiveness. Before we get into talk about how do I ask for forgiveness, this, that, the third, um, a lot of people think about forgiveness because a lot of people attach forgiveness to worthiness, right? Um, am I worthy enough to ask for forgiveness? Is this person worthy enough to ask for forgiveness? This person did something wrong, right? And by the way, there's a lot of stuff that comes with that too. Is somebody worthy enough to ask me for forgiveness? That's a lot of things that people think about. Thank you, Empress. You know, I'm sorry. Clara said, knowing Yahshua's sacrifices would help you and strengthen you to forgive. You too want forgiveness. Yeah. And even, also too, people that lack in the ability and the quality of forgiveness usually are people that believe that they cannot. If we like keep it 100, they believe that they have nothing that needs to be forgiven, right? But everybody has this weird sense of like they are perfect, or we try to weigh each other's sins or problems against each other, etc. Yeah, lack of forgiveness can kill somebody. Matter of fact, there are people that will scientifically tell you that, like, there are scientists that will tell you, like, yo, there's stats that show us that people that can't let go of things, they get cancer, they have heart attacks, you know. But people are like, I'm too strong to forgive, or they say somebody's not worthy, once again, of forgiveness, right? And and some people like to move in their pain, so they use their pain as the catalyst. And I'm not saying that you can't use your pain as a catalyst, but your pain should not become a leader, right? Like some people believe like their pain is the only thing that pushes them forward. Their pain, me holding on to this, me saying that somebody didn't let me on the team, me saying that somebody messed up in our marriage, me saying that you cheated on me saying that, you know, my child didn't do what they were supposed to. My parents didn't do what they were supposed to do. Society hates me. White people this, black people this, all this stuff. Like there are people that can't forgive, and they feed off of it to a point to where they feel like that's what challenges them. That's what they use to survive. That's what they use to thrive. But it's not thriving. You're just surviving, right? You had a bad experience, and you can't release it. And since you can't release it, you feel like not releasing is what gave you strength. When the reality is that you really gave it power. You think that your lack of forgiveness gives you power, and the reality is that your power comes in forgiveness. you know um Amen. That was something else I was going to bring up. My wife says, like, just because we forgive also doesn't mean we forget. That's not our culture either. That's something that somebody else came up with because they don't want to be accountable, right? So there are a lot of people, they'll do things to you, to your family, to your community, whatever, and then they say, I asked for forgiveness. Why do you keep bringing it up? Well, we shouldn't bring it up to hold it over their head, right? But at the same time, just because I said, all right, I'm willing to go and continue to go through this, all right, and continue to treat you like a human being, does not mean, right, that I have to forget the things that are done. It doesn't mean that I should make sure that I'm protected from you possibly doing it again. And it doesn't mean that in your accountability, you should not show improvement. Right. But there's a lot of stuff that we deal with. So when we're talking about forgiveness, you have to make sure that you realize that it's before somebody does it, you have to give them the right to do it. How you doing, Minister Sonia? So are you strong enough to have forgiveness in you already? See, forgiveness is a prerequisite to healing. We go, somebody messed me over, I got to heal, so I'll think about forgiving as part of the remedy, right? But you have to have things already prepared before you go through it. Do you have forgiveness already there, right? All right, and that's one of the reasons why it's hard. I'm sorry, Don said 2 heart attacks. I was holding on to pain, hurt, and anger. I didn't know how to forgive. Yeah, and this is not a random statement. Like, this is not a spiritual statement. This is not a mystical statement. This is a very practical statement. We know the people that do not forgive, they are more prone to heart attacks. We know the people that do not forgive, they are more prone to cancer. We know the people that do not forgive, they are more prone to things that happen in the with fibroid cysts, or things that happen in the prostate. Like, we know this for a fact. People that do not forgive, sometimes it leads to even things like kidney stones. Like, it is a very stressful thing to not be able to give. That's really what it is. Give and it shall be given unto thee, right? And read the verse right before that. Luke chapter 6, verse 38, give and it shall be given unto thee. Elohim's measure, or when it says good, remember that word good is constitution. That's what that word really means, even in the Greek. So it's really saying constitutional. So if you can't give, right, give and it shall be given unto you, the measure that's written in the Constitution. Natural law says forgive and there's a reward. Universal law says forgive and there is a reward. Marital law says forgive and there is a reward. Kingdom law says forgive and there is a reward. Nobody says if you don't forgive, you are storing the pain in your body. Yeah. So Luke 6:38, it says give, and then it shall be given unto thee, the Elohim's measure, or his constitutional measure. Right? Whenever we see that word good in your Bible, really it's talking about something that is constitutional, right? Give, and it should be given to thee, a constitutional measure. It's written down that this is a precept. There's a precept. This sept is there for you to have a concept, to be one with this thing. Elohim's measure, constitutional measure, pressed down, shaken together, and running over, shall man give into your bosom, so men will give you what you give out. If you can't forgive and you say, I'm going to lock you up, then they're going to give you stuff from a locked up position. Always pressing towards the mark. Amen. Right? How you doing, Brother Clem? Right? How you doing, Minister Manasseh? How you doing, Williams? So give. Now, what's the verse right before it? We always talk about this, right? But we got to make sure we get this in these frequently asked questions, right? What comes right before Luke chapter 6, verse 38? Luke chapter 6, verse 37. It says, judge, and it's talking about the manner in which you judge. So it basically says, judge by the manner you want to be judged by, right? Condemn by the manner you want to be condemned by. Forgive by the manner you want to be forgiven. That's really the context of what Luke 6:37 is saying, right? And then after it says that, now verse 38, so whatever you give, it shall be given unto thee. It's constitutional, good measure, constitutional, measured out by the Constitution, by Elohim himself, pressed down, shaken together, and running over, shall men give unto your bosom, for with the same measure that you put out. So now it's not a thing that you should forgive or look to get forgiveness, or look to find out how to forgive when somebody does something to you. You have to recognize that you should have forgiveness in you at all times. Before somebody does something, I give them the right to do it, right? So for the people that are forgiveness is a weakness, forgiveness, blah blah. Okay, so do you have any weaknesses? And that's one of the reasons why you can't forgive. You can't even see the forest for the trees. You can't forgive because you're not in a position to be forgiven. You don't think that there's anything wrong with you. Matter of fact, that statement is a very, I won't even say asinine statement. Let's say it's a lot of cognitive dissonance in that statement. You're going to have Dunning-Kruger effect happening around forgiveness if you believe that you can't forgive somebody, because really what it's saying is, or you shouldn't, because what it's saying is that you believe that if there's something that you do that you can't be forgiven. The only unforgivable sin, and sin means to miss the mark, to be aiming for the target, or to miss the mark. So the only unforgivable sin is to blaspheme, not against you, but against the Holy Spirit. You said, forgive me, you for not having a weakness. Well, if you don't have a weakness, what do you need to be forgiven for? You see the cognitive dissonance, right? Like you see what I'm saying? Like I get what the intent is, and I'm strong, I'm this, but forgiveness is not a weakness. And then we have a problem because how how are you willing to help me if you won't forgive me for having a weakness of forgiveness? Like it's, you see, we get into some really murky waters. I'm not trying to say that, I don't have a heaven or hell to put anybody in. This is not about that. It's not about saying that I know anything about you. I'm talking about forgiveness within itself, right? But we end up slipping up and saying things that aren't necessarily so. We start telling on ourselves, right? If you know, I don't know what makes me weak, because I would say, I'll forgive you for that. Now I can forgive you for that and still say it's wrong. Where's the weakness? I'm sorry, you said, my wife said, you forgiving allows you to receive salvation. Yeah, that's salvaging. Salvation literally means that you have been salvaged. The place that you arrive at when you, the person, or the places that you're in, or the things that you do, have been salvaged. That's legit what salvation is. So how do you salvage something without making sure that, because first of all, in order to salvage something, you've got to see the weaknesses. How do you salvage yourself? How do you become better if you have no weaknesses? How do you treat your wife better than you did yesterday if you say, shoot, everything I do is already? Or if you, or at least be like, okay, fine. If I'm strong in everything, how can I be stronger? Well, if you don't need to be forgiveness, so you have no weaknesses, then what do you need to be stronger in? So you plateau. That mindset plateaus. That mindset just says, I'm not going to be any better. And that's fine if that's your mindset. You don't have to be any better. If you decided that you're the end all be all, that's fine. I strive to be better every day, right? Sister Deja says, I'm not there yet, but working towards forgiving myself. Does it make sense? So a lot of people, they want you, to come from this place, but that's why it's cultural. Everything we talk about is culture. I've got to be right. I've got to be this. I have no weaknesses, blah, blah. Well, that shows that you will never be better than what you are today. And I say that out of love for you without even knowing you. See, your lack of love for me says that you won't even help me because you say that I have no weaknesses to be helped. So that's the kind of thing that says be a victor, not a victim, even though victors have a weakness of killing off people, saying that what you feel, that's historically what a victor is. Kill you off, kill your people, kill your leadership, have a parade about it, and then say that these are your victims and that they deserve to be victims because they didn't win a battle when those people might have trusted you, or those people might not be as worried about war as you are. So you're better at war than them. So you say that they're victims, and you get to be a victor. And to the victor goes the spoils. And victors don't forgive, right? Because a victor would have to forgive themselves for doing what they do to a whole people. Like, this is reality. Victors would have to forgive themselves. You can't even forgive yourself because you're the victor. You're the person in charge. You're the person that always has the victory. You're the person that doesn't have the victim mentality. Everything that you've done is righteous. Your family has never made a mistake. You don't make any mistakes in language. You've got 100% on every test that you've ever taken. Well, then how can you forgive if you've never needed forgiveness? Whatever you have is what you give. How can I give and so it can be given unto me, and I don't even have it within myself? How you doing, Minister Nice? I don't know what the mic reference is about, right? But how do you forgive if you don't have any weaknesses? This is part of the problem. So before we can ask for forgiveness, I got to at least say that there's something I need to be forgiven. And how do you give something you don't have? So we need love to forgive. Well, forgiveness is an action. Love is an action. That's a great question, babe. That's a great way to phrase the question. Like, um, because forgiveness is an action. Love is an action. Love is a velachim. Yachava achabach, right? Love. God is love, right? It's it's an instruction. It's constitutional. Thank you very much, Wesley. Appreciate it. Right? Like it's constitutional. It's cultural. There's a culture of love. How you doing, Sister Helen? If I didn't say so already, there's a culture of love. That's why, like, you haven't seen me come up here, and if I'm doing something wrong, if I don't have my stuff together, or if we haven't got stuff out to you or whatever, or if I tell you I need to make sure things are better as far as project management and all that stuff. How you doing, Sister Miko? Oh, and those in Chicago, please don't forget, if you would like to go up, meet with us. We're going to be in that area, or those in the Central North region. We're going to be up there May 27th, 28th, 29th. At least that's how we're trying to break it down right now. So those that are in, Michigan, I'm not sure how we're going to work it out. We might have to meet in a couple different places because of travel and stuff, and it's a lot bigger than what I remember. So, but you're talking about Wisconsin, Michigan, Ohio, Illinois, Indiana, the Dakotas, places like that will be there May 27th through the 29th, around that time frame. So we're trying to work stuff out. So if you can come out and meet up with us, let's meet up and let's see what's going on. Okay, May 20th. That's your born day weekend. All right, amen. Well, happy early born day to you. He said, "Those that count themselves your enemies, and they work to harm you. How do you forgive? Well, you forgive them, but you don't have to allow them in. Right? Forgive them, for they know not what they do. Does it mean that they're in the kingdom? No. And at some point, see, here's the deal. At some point, even your enemies, they have to sit at the same table with you, and they have to pour into your cup. Remember, like that Psalm 23, verse 5, thou prepares the table before in the presence of mine enemies. That anoints my head with oil, my cup runneth over. That's a sign, that's a symbol that you would sit at the table, and whoever was the guest of honor and who was being honored, you would pour into their cup. And eventually, whoever was the guest of honor, their cup would overflow because everybody would keep pouring into that same cup. You said in your family you don't forgive, we ignore, stop talking to move on. And that's something that happens in my family. Or one of the side, well, actually on both sides of my family, in all honesty. Yeah, matter of fact, we might be doing the East Coast a little sooner than what we thought. We just had a conversation with somebody yesterday, but we already have a date. Excuse me. Sorry. We already have a date for the East Coast. But I think we might be coming sooner. We'll have to look up the times, but it'll probably be like late July, early August. We might be there for a little bit. So if people want to meet up a few times or whatever, we'll probably be stationary there. I don't know how long though. When we come to that area, it's usually no more than like a week or so, tops. But yeah, and also too, those, thank you for being on, who've been giving donations. For those who feel like doing even more, some of you do tithes, offering, things like that. Some of you have been giving to other people's business through us and different things. Some of you have been helping us with people in Africa, all types of stuff. So yeah, so we don't have a date yet, but we do, right? So, but those of you who've been helping us, we appreciate it. And you can do that through Kofi. We've had people like actually contacting us and saying, "Hey, you don't give anywhere to donate or to give any offering to the give tithes." And my wife and I talked about it yesterday, and I need to be better with that. I guess it's still, we don't want anybody to feel like they're forced to give. Because whatever you give is your choice, right? That's one of the other things about forgiveness. It's still your choice. It's still your free will. There's just consequences. But for those that have been giving or want to give or want to continue to help, especially with all this traveling and moving and getting closer and closer, we have some stuff now with Teespring, with the shirts and everything, teespring.com. We're looking at going back into that heavy, and trying to have different options every other week for you guys. We're looking at the music coming out if you want to get on board with that. All those different things that are really out already, just been project management I've had to catch up on. Feel free to reach out. But if you're looking at donations, things like that, you can, if you're on YouTube, if you're on a podcast, you can just simply look in on every episode that we put out or every video that's out and be able to look in the description box for that information. If you're looking for the information on TikTok, it's in our bio. A little bit of it's in our bio, but if you want to look at our link tree, feel free to do that. And also too, everybody, please check your emails. If you don't get an email us. Look in the link tree. If you're on TikTok, that's where it says website on our TikTok page. Click on that link tree, and then it'll give you information on how to get in touch with us. But we appreciate you all for that. Some of you have been pushing for us to do it. I'm not always the best at asking for help, but we're getting better. Right. And thank you very much for those who help out. If you want to become a Patreon member, of course, there's that as well. Well, we thank you, everybody. So getting back into the forgiveness piece, though, before I go too far into announcements and all that stuff, it's definitely important, right? Salud, how you doing? It's definitely something that's important to forgive. Oh, May 15th is your born day? Okay, so you right around the corner. I saw your early born day present too. That was nice that somebody sent you that, right? But we want to make sure that we comprehend forgiveness. Forgive before somebody does something. You have to give them the right to do it. Before somebody does something, you have to give them the right to do it. Once again, before somebody does something, you have to give them the right to do it. Which means that before somebody sins, I have to give them the right to do it. Mm. See, we like before somebody makes me feel good in the bedroom, I got to give them the right to do it. Before somebody walks down the aisle with me, I got to give them the right to do it. Before somebody feeds me, I got to give them the right to do it. We like those things. Before somebody gives me a job, I got to give them the right to do it. Which really, we don't even have that mentality. We just be like, give me, give me, give me, give me, right? But I have to give them the right to do it. I have to be in a position of righteousness, of right legal standing, in order. I have to be in a position of right legal standing in order to even qualify for those things, right? I'm having an issue with charging here. Sorry. Oh wow. I don't know what's going on. We have an issue with getting the charge. Okay, we got a charge going. All right. Um, yeah. So before somebody does something, I have to give them the right to do it. Right. I have to give somebody the right to do it. Emily, is it L Emily? Says okay, but when you forgive, are you forced to talk to them or go visit them? Well, once again, forgiveness does not mean you're a doormat. Forgiveness does not mean you have to forget. See, we're doing two different things, right? Forget, like before somebody does something, you get something. Forget is not even what we talk about. Forgive, right? So if something's now here, can we break? Let's break this down. I'm so glad my wife suggested this for today because I was going to go somewhere else, but I see now, that her spirit was in tune. Like we needed to talk about this. Amen. I need to talk about this. In all honesty, self forgiveness on some things. Just keeping it 100, right? Sometimes we act like we don't have any problems. We're gonna teach you without any problems. Like I go through this stuff myself. So we have to first get the sept, the idea, before we talk about a concept. And we got to get the precept, which is the environment, before we talk about a concept, being one with this idea. Um, First things first, when we're talking about forgiveness, right? We One of the things that the Most High showed me a long time ago, and I've talked about this before, the reason why we get mad at people usually has nothing to do with that person and what they did. That's going to sound really strange, right? But you're not. But once again, forgiveness for us and even anger for us is usually reactionary. We're not proactive in our approach, right? So we usually don't get upset at people because of what they did. We usually get upset at somebody because they did not do what we think we would have done. Now we think we would have done it because we were not put in that position. We don't know what we would have done. We don't know how we would have reacted. However, in our mind, we believe that if we had been in the same place, same time, been the same person as somebody else, we would not have done X. If I was in your position, I would not have let that person get my phone number. If I was in your position, I would not have gone over that person's house. If I was in your position, I would not have said that to my parents. If I was in your position, I would have not, gambled that money away. If I was in your position, I would not have cheated. If I was in your position, I would not have not talked to my children. If I like the list goes on and on and on, right? Because we have a mindset that says that once again, we come from a mindset, I don't have a weakness. I'm sorry, you said you can forgive love from a distance. Amen. Yeah, you do not have to invite mess, hurt, pain in order to heal. Most definitely. Yeah, great point, Minister Sonia. I'm sorry. Forgiveness gives the forgiver freedom as well. Yeah, of course. Amen. Who was that? Lionheart. Most deaf. My wife said, when someone doesn't live up to our expectations, they validate our fears and shortcomings. See, and that's powerful, right? What my wife just said, right? So, I'm sorry. The analogy makes sense. You said we expect people do what we would have done, wanting others to treat us the way we treat them, right? And by the way, that's not a bad thing. What I'm saying though is we don't get angry because the person did something. We get angry because we say, if I was in your position, I wouldn't have done it. Right? Woulda, coulda, shoulda, what is the truth? Yeah. So we have all these things like if I was in your position. So that's why we can't forgive. Now, I'm not saying that somebody cheats on you to forgive them means that you just lay down with them the same day. That doesn't make sense. In all honesty, they broke a contract and they broke covenant, and they might be carrying something. Like, we're not saying, hey, somebody cheats on you, lay down and have sex with them, because that's what forgiveness looks like. No, 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 no. That means that I comprehend you're a human being. So you will do things that you mess up in, right? So I'm not going to live my life, and this is what happens a lot. In our marriages, whatever, we get in these relationships and we put people on pedestals. And when we were dating them, especially, we have this mindset that we hide things and we lie about things and things of that nature, right? Because we don't want to give somebody our whole self. We're into dating rather than marriage, right? Even though marriage is sex is marriage, but we don't comprehend the fruit of these things and the consequences. How you doing, Shadallah? I'm sorry, Don. You said forgive and gives thanks for being able to see people for who they are. Amen. So, we get in this marriage, we get in this relationship with everybody, we're doing all this stuff, right? And we're in this relationship, then somebody actually starts slipping up and showing themselves. Now, because we don't forgive very well, they lied about who they were the whole time, anyways, because that's what you do when you date. So they kept lying about themselves. They kept lying about who they are. They kept lying about the truth. They kept not presenting their whole self. Hey, you know what? I'm gonna get in this relationship. Even if you having sex in the relationship, right? You get in the relationship. Well, I'll go ahead and do this, but I want to show this person this is what I'm really like in the bedroom, because I don't want them to think I'm a freak. Like, real talk. Like, we lie on every level. Let me go on all as many levels as we can, real quick, or not many levels, but just a few different levels to show you, right? Like, oh, you know what? I don't want them to see me without makeup. Then they see you without makeup and stuff or whatever, and then all of a sudden there's this weird thing. Like, we're told, and men have this weird lie in their head that women aren't supposed to be human beings and they're always dressed up, but women are have this thing in their head that society doesn't accept them, right? And so we have the simultaneous thing. Men are out here and men are trying to make sure that they talking about they got this and they got that and they got all this stuff or whatever, and then come to find out they're not making 100,000 a year, they're making 50,000 a year. But I got to make sure, because society says that I'm supposed to be a baller, and society says that I got to have great credit, and society says that I got to make sure that I'm living in a mansion, right? Or I got to be on my way, rather than have a vision to get us both to a mansion working together. I'm not supposed to tell you the things that are vision oriented to help us. I'm supposed to tell you the things that make me look good in the moment. So because society says that we don't forgive certain things, we don't believe and tell them the truth. Salah, right? We don't believe that truth is necessary. You said you've always been able to forgive. You've always told you don't hold grudges. That's great. Amen. You said the hardest realization is no one sees your eyes, therefore they respond different. Oh yeah, nobody sees things through your eyes, so they'll respond differently. You said, I think we all try to show our best selves in the beginning, but it backfires later on. Well, it's not just, yeah, well, see, we have the thing that our best self has no weakness. See, your best self is your true self. Matter of fact, your best self is your only self. Your best self today doesn't have to be as great as your best self tomorrow. But if we come in the mindset as I'm going to present my best self, a lot of people say, well, I don't want to show this person my weakness. But it's see, watch this. Your best self is your true self, once again, right? Your best self is your true self. And we have been told our whole lives, a lot of times, that our true selves is negative. So if our true selves is always deemed to be negative, why would I present my true self, which is my best self, which is really my only self? Remember, people do this thing, live your truth, sis. Live your best life. Do you, King? Who is you? Why is it live your truth? There's a truth. If the truth is me, then let me just be me. It's truth. I don't have to manipulate it. And that's something I was even, dealing with this rising, where I'm still trying to carry too much and trying to figure out how to get enough off me, trying to make sure we get things back on track, because we got too much to do and there's no way I can do it all. And trying to set up and make sure that my wife and I talk about certain things so we can have other people look up things, and YLP 83, Yah's Land Project, and getting the land and doing all this stuff. And, like, I had to be honest with self. I had to be honest with self and be like, there's things that I'm still not saying out loud. There's things that I'm still not saying to my wife. about what's really going on some of the things I'm thinking through, because I'm so busy where everybody needs me to be foundational, that in order to for me to be foundational, I have to act like I am lacking weakness, and that's not healthy. It's not healthy for me. It's not healthy for my family. It's not healthy, right? So it's a lot of us are not able to forgive because we're not even willing to deal with our weakness. Yeah, that's called a representative. That's not your best self. Amen. It says, and sometimes we're angry for not creating boundaries, fear, uh, which makes guilty too. Be courageous. Yeah, So it's like you have to be willing to forgive, and you got to have people. Watch this. You got to have people around you that have a mindset of forgiveness as well. And it has to start. You know how they say, that stuff goes downhill, everything starts at the top, authority comes from the top. There's a chain of command, whatever's at the top has got to come down. And so if you're in a position of what we call leadership, we can argue what leadership is because we have a different mindset on leadership over people versus environment. Nevertheless, if you are a person in leadership, whatever you do at the top, it goes down. And so a lot of our community has issue with forgiveness because our leaders in the community try to act like they don't have weakness, and they can't admit. Yeah, Emily, it almost happened. If I start, I'm probably not gonna be able to finish. So, but I'm gonna be open, right? But there's certain things I can't, for me and my family and stuff. But it's a lot of stuff where it's just like you have to realize that you have weaknesses in your game, and when you realize you have weakness, then it's easier to be able to forgive the weakness in others. Now, once again, before somebody does it, I give them the right to do it. That means that I have to be tapped into forgiveness before I meet the person I've got to forgive, or before the person does what they're doing wrong and they need forgiveness. You know, before before they do it, before they mess up. It could be something as simple as, like, man, I realized that I could have taken this further and I didn't take this further. Would you forgive me? Right? You have to have it in your mind already that this person, even if they don't hear me when I'm saying this stuff, even if I'm talking to my husband, and if you're a wife, you're talking to your husband's not hearing you, this and that or whatever, and you feel like, but eventually, like, he's gonna come to himself. All right, this is a weakness that he has. I forgive it already. I'm still gonna be his helpmeet, as long as it's not something that's gonna mess with my salvation. It's gonna mess with myself. It's gonna mess with him as far as his health too, as far as our children. Okay, I'm in here for the long haul till death do us part, right? And he's human. He's a human being. He has a weakness. When I see this weakness, right? Same thing with brothers, right? You're in a marriage. My wife, you hear this all the time. You see people in the chat. You put in the comment section. They call in with this. You're telling me I got to do this and blah blah. You're saying that like and love are different things. All this stuff. Well, I provide for this. I tell my wife this. I try to honor my wife in this way, that way. She don't want to listen, Pastor. She don't want to do this. What, as a man, you think I'm supposed to just take this stuff? No, I'm saying forgive. Right? Every day that you realize that she's not perfect, remember you're not perfect. Remember the Most High forgives you. Remember how Mama and them used to have to forgive you. Remember how your boys had to forgive you from time to time. Remember you used to play games and you used to play basketball, and you might have and you might be the reason your team lost. You might play football, you might be the reason your team lost. You might have missed a tackle, and that one tackle ended up being the difference. If we put everything down stat by stat and minute by minute and moment by moment, you might have been the person who messed up, and that one thing could have been the reason why your team lost the game. Guess what? Your boys forgave you, your coach forgave you, you gained back harder because you made sure you were more indebted to them. You grinded more, you were there more because somebody forgave you. Do the same thing for your wife. Now, if you with a woman or somebody with a little girl mentality but not a wife, then you got to forgive yourself and try to and forgive her for even thinking that this was going to work, and forgive yourself for thinking that it was going to work for you being in tune with this woman or this person with a little girl mentality rather than the wife. But that's not on her as much as or only, it's on you as well, your decision making, and it's on you for even not listening to what the Most High said. Or it might be on somebody who should have taught you these things but never taught you. Right? Like we act like we have no issues, So when somebody does something, you haven't given them the right to do it. No, go into a marriage. When you go into a marriage, which is just two becoming one, when you go into this marriage, comprehend that you're going to produce fruit. And some of the fruit that you produce might be seedless at first. Figure out why it's seedless. Some of the fruit that you produce, it might be rotten. Figure out why it's coming out rotten. Some of the fruit that you produce is not going to do what it's supposed to do in the environment. Try to figure out why it's not doing what it's supposed to do in the environment. But right, but you got to comprehend these are two people that are imperfect, trying to work on their own salvation, becoming one simultaneously. How in the world are you going to dismiss the fact that you're going to have to forgive? How are you going to dismiss the fact that forgiveness is going to have to come before the marriage? You're going to have to be a master at forgiveness before you walk down the aisle. You're going to have to be a master at forgiveness before you get the job. This is why we go to the job. We hate everything. We hate everybody. You haven't learned to forgive yet, right? You got road rage. Why you got road rage? Somebody cut you off. Well, if you drive, if you've been behind the wheel of a car, whether you travel or you drive, you've been behind the wheel of a car long enough. You know that there are people that cut people off. Why are you cussing people out? Trying to speed up and go 95 miles per hour now down the road, you get yourself a ticket. You get yourself in trouble. Some people get themselves shot. Some people get themselves beat up. You trying to hit people in the back of the car. I mean, I'm telling you what happens, right? Why are you doing all those things when you know there's somebody out there that's going to do that? Already go out on the road with a mindset of forgiveness. That's why they say that's what what they call defensive driving is. Defensive driving is somebody's going to do something and I've got to forgive through my own being able to handle the car. I've got to forgive their mistake. If I see, like, this happened plenty of times. We're on the road all the time, so I get used to looking out of both mirrors and doing this and looking at the rear view mirror and all this stuff. And when I see that there's a car coming and I'm already sometimes going too fast, admittedly, right? I'm going 80, in the 70 or something like that, or 80 in the 65 or something crazy. I need to slow down. And before I recognize it, and before I take because I got a heavy foot, so before I take my foot off the gas or whatever a little bit, and I can see somebody going way faster than me, right? Way over 100 already. I know I need to go ahead and start slowing down because I can see that there's a gap in between me and the person in front of me. So I'm already forgiving. Before they even get there, I'm already forgiving. I'm already saying, let me be in position to forgive. Let me come down to 70 real quick. Let me slow down a little bit real quick so that when they get there, they can go ahead and do whatever. We were traveling. I don't know if my wife can remember how long this had to be recently, right? We were just traveling on last Monday, and no, so not this last Monday, but the Monday prior, and there was a accident that happened right in front of us. Had to forgive. Person literally, right, did something. It caused their tire to pop. They went and slammed into the wall, and then started swerving all over the three lane highway. 3-lane highway we were on, or part of that 3-lane highway we were on. Had to forgive real quick. Soon as I saw something, I didn't even know what was going on, but my instinct took over. It was a forgiveness thing. It was an instinct of forgiveness where I'm looking, right? I'm so used to being on the road now that I'm looking for something like that to happen. I got 5 of us in the vehicle. 5 of us are depending on my forgiveness, right? So a lot of us are not thinking forgiveness before it happens. Once again, we're reaction based with our forgiveness rather than being proaction based. We're reactive rather than proactive. Emperor said, "True pastor, you seem to forgive others before yourself. Allow the same mercy for yourself." Thank you. Yeah, I try, and I need to be, and I need to be better just like everybody else. Just because you're a master doesn't mean you're still not a disciple. Amen and ouch. Yeah, right. So people justify things they do against others and never get to forgiveness sometimes. Mm-hmm. Yeah, managing the department, you got to forgive, right? Working on the road rage. I got a camera in your truck. No, I just know, I still, like, sometimes I'll be like, I'll make sure I forgive, and then something in you goes, did they really just do? Especially like when somebody knows that I have my wife and son in the car, or anybody, but if it's me, I'm a little more forgiving. But sometimes I'll be like, that's my family in the car. You're gonna do what you just did, and you looked to see before you did it, meaning that you already knew somebody else was in the car, and you put all these lives at risk because of what you did. Like, something in me still wants to catch up, put a little chokehold on somebody, lay hands on them, and not in the spirit. I might be in a spirit, but it ain't gonna be the spirit. But you gotta chill out and be like, okay, like, we still got a destination. We still have to do, and hear what I'm saying. Hopefully somebody's getting this, right? Because this is the Holy Spirit talking, right? This is a great analogy, if you will. This is a way of looking at this. Like, you're on your way to a destination. Just because somebody's doing something that they ain't supposed to do. You said there's no speed limit, right? Oh, what, but all right, like, but you got to recognize it. Just because somebody's doing something, if you know that there's going to be people that do that, why is it a surprise to you? Why is it a surprise that somebody would be out of position? Why is it a surprise to you that somebody would do something wrong? Why is it a surprise to you that somebody would try to cut you off? Have you never been cut off before? Like, I could see the person who is their first drive, their driver's test or whatever, or they're going through driver's class, driver's ed. They got that sticker on the back letting you know that they're a student driver, all these different things. I could see that, right? But even they have grown up enough to where they should already recognize that it happens. Now they should be dealing with it differently because it's the first time it happens to them, sure. However, to be somebody that's been around and you've been traveling long enough, you know that people get cut off. So it's not even about the fact that they cut you off. You see it every day. You see accidents on the side of the road, rubbernecking. People slow down all the time to see accidents people have been in because they cut people off, or because they didn't know how to execute in traveling correctly. You know this. Shima said the Most High really worked on the road rage department. Used to be horrible at it. Yeah, and I used to, there used to be times I used to yell. It's usually when I'd be by myself because I had enough sense not to make myself look bad. But I'd yell, not yell at even the people. I'd just be inside the car, or especially if I was running late. That's something that really bothers me. So if I was running late, I'd be throwing a little temper tantrum inside the car. you know, but you got to get over those things, right? But you have to have a place where you already function and live in that. Once again, forgiveness should not be reactionary. You got to be proactive in forgiveness. You got to already live in it. You've already got it established. Right before Christ died, he already said forgive them. See, people think that the forgiveness took place when the action took place. Forgiveness took place when, before Adam was even created, there was already a mindset that if Adam sinned, or if man sinned, that Yahshua would come and die. It was proactive, not reactive. You said because we still don't understand the system we're in still every day. And how you doing, Sister Nakia? Yeah, road rage, but we have road rage in different places. We just don't call it road rage. We have rage. How about that, in different places? Dawn said, don't leave out late for work and curse at people doing the speed limit. Yeah. Think about that. That's a very great example. And that's something that I would get on myself on. Now, sometimes I used to try to leave early to get somewhere early, right? But you might be leaving somewhere and it takes you 15 minutes to get there. You leave 13 minutes with 13 minutes to get there, thinking, okay, I'm gonna just take this side road and do this and blah blah. And then all of a sudden there's an accident, or there's somebody that's actually going to travel at the speed limit. You start yelling at them and cussing them out. You need to learn that that's not even forgiveness for them. You need to comprehend, once again, that's because you're not in place. Forgive yourself. Even in that manner, like, sometimes we're trying to yell at everybody else, but you in the position. Why do you put yourself in that position? Like I said, look, there's tons of people, and I've had to learn this in my own personal life. We'll talk bad about everybody else. They did this in the relationship bad. They did this in the relationship bad. I can't believe this. I can't believe how my parents treated me. I can't believe how my boyfriend, my girlfriend, my husband, my wife, my childhood friend, this person at work. I can't believe they did this, blah, blah, whatever, right? Sometimes, so you got to ask yourself, why was that your friend in the first place? Right, or in the fast lane, not passing, right? You got to ask yourself why. Why are you in that position in the first place? Right? You might not need to forgive the other person. You might need to forgive yourself. But you don't think, once again, if we're not careful, we don't think we have weakness. Like somebody was talking about earlier, oh, I have no weaknesses. There's nothing wrong with me. I don't do this. I don't do that. Well, if you don't have weakness, then of course. And then if you don't have weakness, and then you can't forgive anybody else, but you can, watch this. Can I bless you with something? No matter how much you want to try and do something for others, you can only do something for others that you have yourself. Remember, we talked about on motherhood, on Sunday, for motherhood looks different for different people. The only thing that you can do concerning forgiveness for others, right? You can't give forgiveness if you don't have forgiveness. If you haven't forgiven yourself, or don't learn that you need to forgive yourself, or don't go and ask the Most High for forgiveness, or don't know how what it is to ask other people for forgiveness, guess what? If you can't do that, you cannot give it. They use friends too much for people that don't care or love, right? But a lot of times, just in general, though, just even before we get there, which is a whole other thought, Minister Sonia, that's a whole other level of thought. Um, even keeping it on a lower level before we possibly get there, like, you know, like, think about it. If you into the bad boy, and then the bad boy does something bad, is that the bad boy's fault? Right? That's like the old school saying, right? Like, or that old story. A guy goes and he sees a snake on the side of the road, and it's a poisonous snake, but the snake's not moving. He's gonna go right past it. Then he gets out. He thinks about killing it, but then he actually picks it up. He nurses it to health, right? He feeds it. He makes sure that it's able to be taken care of. Like, has a relationship with it. They become friends. The man and the snake, all this stuff for years. Everything's cool or whatever. Right? And then all of a sudden, one day they're out, and the snake bites him. And he says, as he's dying, "Why in the world did you bite me? I did these things. I did that. He did that." He said at the end of the day, he said, "Look, I'm a snake." Right? It's the snake's nature to do that. It's in the snake's nature. I was watching something, I like animal stuff. I told you a lot. So I watch a lot of animal stuff. There's a guy, I don't remember his name, but he always does videos where he's in the water with I don't. I think it's a. It might. Well, maybe it's an alligator. I don't remember if it's an alligator or a smaller crocodile. I think it's an alligator, and he has a lot of different gators and stuff like that. And so he gets in the water with this one particular one, and it'll come right up to him. Its mouth will be there. But he tells everybody, in all honesty, even though he has this great relationship, so to speak, with the alligator, he says he says at some point, victim or volunteer, I see you. Um, he says at some point, if something were to happen to him, he says he's got to be on point. He says if he ever were to lay down, or he said if he ever had like some kind of heart attack, or something happened to him health wise, and he were laying in the water and it looked like he was dying, or looked like he wasn't moving or whatever, he said or if he ever gave any indication that he was at any kind of stress or whatever around an alligator, the alligator has a mindset, right? That at the end of the day, the alligator would bite him or try to eat him. Like, if he ever made the wrong move one time, all it takes is for him to make the wrong move, and that alligator will end his life. Why? Because that's how the alligator is hardwired. It's programmed. At the end of the day, it's still an alligator, right? He can kiss the alligator on his mouth all he wants. Foolishness to me, but you can do all that all you want. Comprehend, though, at some point it will hurt you. Mike Tyson, remember, he used to have tigers, right? And or he used to have one tiger, really, at least as far as I know. But he had a huge tiger, and he said that, like, tigers are different than lions. He said lions can act like dogs and stuff sometimes because lions like to be around, and in pride. So lions like to be around each other. He said if you get a tiger only deals with you and nobody else. He said, so you got to be careful. And he said, and then you got to be careful that tiger doesn't take a liking to somebody else in your family, because if they see you having fun with your child, and then they see that they like that child, then when you come back in, they're gonna get you. So he said, and there was even a point where he said like, he'd come to the tiger cage, he'd always remember, he'd look the tiger in the eye, and if the tiger was like, happy and moving and jumping and stuff, he said, okay, like, he'd actually let it out, let it sleep in the room with them, all that. He said, but if he saw the tiger was just staring at him and wasn't moving, he said he realized the tiger was in tiger mode. It wasn't in this pet mode, right? And so, right, but then the tiger eventually came around somebody else, got to somebody else, and that person disobeyed protocol after Mike was like, yo, they don't like to be around everybody else, this and that or whatever, just me, right? And this person tried to break protocol. Guess what? The person got their arm ripped off by the tiger. He had to get rid of it. I think I don't even know if they had to put it down, but he definitely had to get rid of it. So, but when you hear him talk about the experience, he forgives the tiger, right? Because the person knew better. He knew the person was a tiger. Now, you can argue about that, whether or not, whatever. That's, but I'm trying to put all that together to help you to comprehend and to see that you can't blame a tiger for being a tiger. Well, you can't blame a person for messing up. You can't blame somebody who's a bad boy for being a bad boy, right? You can't blame, um, if you know that somebody, watch this, if you get in a relationship with somebody and you know she's been hurt with cheating and stuff like that, well, guess what? Part of what you're going to have to deal with is proving to her every day that you're not going to be a cheater. Just because she forgave the cheater doesn't mean that she's going to forget and she's not going to be looking for signs. So you got to comprehend that she might have you might look at it as a shortcoming. Maybe it is, maybe it isn't, depending on how she's utilizing. But you might have to recognize, hey, she's dealt with some hurt. Hey, this person has dealt with an abusive relationship. So when you do certain things, maybe you might want to consider that maybe that brother that you're like, why don't you speak out? Why don't you do this? Blah blah. He might have came from a relationship to where he used to get people throwing pots and pans at him, right? And it might be a weakness of what you want in a real man, which that don't even make no sense. But nevertheless, right, it might be what you want in a real man. However, he is a real man that's going through something. Help him through it. Forgive him. He might be doing some things and doesn't even recognize what he's doing. If it looks like something that he went through, he might recognize it as death, even though it's the shadow of death. But yea, even though I walk through the valley of the shadow of death, I shall fear no evil. But that might take me some time to even get ready to be able to not every time I see the shadow of what something looked like to react. Right? Sometimes you can be around somebody that's been abused. You lift your hand up and do something with your hand real fast. Person might flinch. Right? Somebody goes, see, that's a weakness. That's a weakness. I have no way. No. Like, it would be a weakness for me to not forgive. Instead of being like, why you do that? I'm not going to hit you. Why are you acting like, no. Like, empathize. Forgive. Right? Give and it should be given unto thee. Because you can't give what you don't have. You can only meet someone as far as they have met themselves. Truth. If you're early, you're on time. If you're on time, you're late. That's what I grew up hearing from my mom. Yeah, that's what I got in the military. So we all have weaknesses, no matter how great we think we are. Mm-hmm. It's a song. Okay, I didn't know that was a song. It said the word of Elohim and his commandments should be the mirror we reflect ourselves first. Yeah. And if he died and forgave you, then you got to start asking yourself, why won't you forgive others? If he was willing to die and forgive you, what's the issue with forgiving somebody else? The frog and the scorpion. I don't know if I know the frog and the scorpion one. The scorpion and the alligator. I don't know if I know that one either. Just like people trying to tame wild animals and the pet, something triggers the animal and they attack. Mm-hmm. Absolutely, because that alligator will act out of his true nature. Most deaf. And can't take it personal for whatever they do. Yeah, you got to forgive them. Using not the pots and the pans. I mean, I'm just saying, you'd be surprised. Some brothers, maybe not so surprised. You got some life experience, so maybe not. But I'm telling you, we don't realize there's a lot of men that've been abused, and men are not supposed to talk about their issues. At least that's what society teaches, right? So men are not supposed to say, "I've gone through this, I've gone through that." So a lot of men, they've been abused, they've been hit. I know brothers. I know. I won't out them. I know brothers been stabbed. I'm not supposed to say anything though. You know, I know brothers that get beat up all the time. you know, but we don't say, we're not supposed to say anything about it. So if that brother's been in a relationship for like that for 10 years, just like if a woman was in a relationship like that for 10 years, they got scars on them. And you got to say to yourself, if this person, and the person, they're not probably not on anymore, but the person that was talking about forgiveness is weakness and all that stuff, like, you got to comprehend that it's not weakness to say to somebody, you know what, you've been in an abusive relationship for a really long time. I forgive you for something, because you got to comprehend, like, and once again, even the word abuse, like, can we break that down? The word abuse, it means abnormal usage. I've been abnormally used for so long in my life that finally somebody comes and they treat me with respect. That doesn't even seem right. So they start doing things that are weird. You showing me love. I never really seen somebody, Maya, the Honorable Maya, she stood up for me in ways, and I get irritated by it, but at least, I don't get irritated like that anymore. But I used to get irritated a lot and be like, why is she going so hard? And why is she talking this and blah, blah. But you know what? Like, I never had anybody that used to stand up for me on that level. So it used to be very odd to me. Or if she wanted the best for me and she would tell me the best, I get frustrated because I was in other relationships with people, friends and otherwise, where and family even, where like somebody would start saying something to you and they were demeaning you and they were hurting you and they were saying that you ain't gonna be this or that. So I saw something, she was trying to help me and bless me and tell me that she wanted to see me do my best. And because she dared say it in a tone that I thought was unacceptable in my immaturity, um, I, I'm, oh, well, she must be doing the same thing that so and so did to me before. No, she just wanted the best for me. But because it was a shadow, it looked like something that was deadly before, I just made the assumption. Right. And so she had to be with me and forgive that long enough for me to heal to a point to where now, I say with regularity or all the time, I apologize for a lot of that stuff. And sometimes I catch myself now more than I used to doing the same thing. And I'll say, you know what, I'm sorry. I came from this, I came from that. And some of the stuff I wasn't even 100% honest with her about, as far as like stuff that happened to me in relationships in the past, where I'm just now telling her some of the stuff that happened to me. And she's like, oh, like, but, how can she, and here's the deal, we just be honest about it. How can she forgive me if I don't tell her everything? How can somebody forgive you if you're not even willing to be truthful and admit your weakness? Or sometimes you don't even think that it's a weakness, or sometimes you think, well, who cares? I'm just supposed to keep moving. So I never tell her these things. I keep moving. And then she got to find out about everything when all of a sudden I just can't take it anymore and I just start yelling because I can't hold it. It's a place of immaturity. It is a place of immaturity. My wife said if a man has been abused or mistreated, he may need some more understanding. Amen. Well, thanks, babe, for saying that. Um, he said scorpion catches. Oh, sorry, you said scorpion catches a rat in the frog's back, and when he gets across, stings the frog. I feel like now that you said it, I might have read that, but I can't remember. Yeah, we're all human beings, and we have traumas. To been going through that with the husband, he had been abused in all relationship, last marriage. Yeah, and so there's some things that you start doing to survive when you're abused, because you still want to death do us part, right? Don't forget that the abuser, just because you're being abused, a lot of times you still have in your mind till death do us part, till death do us part, till death do us part. What is my favorite Bible verse? I don't really have a favorite Bible verse. I guess there was one that I used to preach all the time, Mark chapter 12, verse 28 to 34, which is where somebody's listening discreetly to Yahshua speak. And he quotes Deuteronomy 6:4 when he's asked what is the greatest of all commandments. He says, hear, O Israel, or Yasser, Yasser Lachaba, Yachaba Achaba, Aleph. All right. Basically, like, love Elohim with all the heart, the soul, the mind, the strength. That's the first of all commandments. Second, like it is this, to love your neighbor as you love yourself. On those who hang all the other commandments. The person who asked the question, he says, well said, because to love somebody with all the heart and all the soul and all the mind and all the strength, and to love your neighbor as you love yourself, is the greatest of all commandments. And then Yahshua says, you are not far from the kingdom of heaven. There you go. I don't know if I have a favorite verse, but talking about forgiveness, there's a lot that goes into that. And once again, we get into interesting conversations. But if I forgive, am I supposed to forget? Nobody said that. Now, at least I won't say nobody. The Bible doesn't say that. Our culture doesn't say that. Other people say that. Amen, Austria. Yeah, she sure did see potential in me, and I'm appreciative of her every day for that. You said sociopathic behavior is regarded as strength to do a lot, or regarded as strength to a lot of people. Yeah, we were talking about that the other day. People look at Michael Jordan and Kobe Bryant and all these people, they were killers. They were this, they were that. So that's why their marriages and their relationships were terrible. They were sociopaths. They were willing to squash all relationships, not just for basketball, but to beat in competitiveness. We think that, oh, because somebody scored a bunch of points and they made millions of dollars, that means that they're a great person. So forgiveness is something, when somebody says, how do I come to the Most High for forgiveness? His forgiveness is already there. You just got to tap into what's already there. Before you did it, he gave you the right to do it. That's why before Adam sinned, he had already had an agreement with Yahshua that Yahshua would come to die for you. That's why Yahshua died for you before you were born. Whichever way you want to take this, like forgiveness, it's a prerequisite to your healing. You have to already have forgiveness for the healing. You don't heal because you've decided to forgive. You heal because forgiveness has always been there, which means your healing has always been there. You see the culture and how people flip this. There's a video I was watching. Everybody's been talking about recently. I was watching it last night. It's by K-Dot, and I'm Kendrick Lamar. If you're not familiar with that, but Kendrick Lamar basically he has a song. It's the Heart Five, and where basically if you look at the video, the whole thing is like a shout out to Nipsey Hussle at the same right, but at the same time, it's him talking about how what we call the hip hop culture and the street culture is something that's like wild and it messes us up. He talks about how the same person that's um, is trying hard to get work, and late for work and all this stuff, is praying for work, but is on paperwork. That's Kendrick's bars are like ridiculous, but he's talking about all this stuff, but it's really forgiveness. And he talks about how in there, it's basically like the culture messes us up and the culture messes us up. That's really, that. And then, dealing with, that and then dealing with, what's, Nipsey and it being a song where it's like supposed to be like Nipsey's voice speaking back to Aaron. He even does deep fakes where basically like he makes it looks like his face where he looks like Nipsey Hussle. He even wears like the style of clothes Nipsey would wear and stuff like that, to where when you see at the end of the video a couple times, it looks like it's Nipsey actually still here rapping. He even uses his mannerisms and doing stuff like that. It's like it's really cool the way he did it. But like the second verse is when he starts using the deep fakes. And so he starts talking about all these people that have done really horrendous things, but they all are part of the culture. And we don't forgive them, even though the culture kind of put them in the place that they're in. So like his first face he puts on is the face of the first face he puts on is OJ Simpson's face. So he goes like this, and like a lot of people freaked out. Like I watched some reactions and stuff to it. A lot of people freaked out, but he goes like this, and before he goes in the second verse, and he puts his hands over his face and comes out, and it's OJ Simpson, and he basically says, I was the one that taught you, how to be able to, roll in basically like the bulletproof Bronco. But people forget OJ Simpson. He had to be this, had to be that. Then he started trying to be not black, but he wanted to be OJ and all this other stuff. But nobody talks about the culture that got him there, right? Then the next face he puts on after that is he does something. He comes back and he's Kanye West. First words out of his mouth is bipolar, and everybody makes fun of Kanye, this, that, or whatever, but nobody talks about the culture that got Kanye there, right? Then after that, he puts on however you pronounce his name. I know Dave Chappelle messed me up with the actual pronunciation of his name. He calls him Juicy Smollett or something. I don't know if it's Jussie Smollett or whatever, but Jussie Smollett, whatever he is, like, and it talks about the streets got me effed up, right? The streets got me effed up, where he's talking about this is all people that grew up in the culture, but like, he's talking about this. To the next person after that, he puts on is Will Smith at the end of the second verse, and with Will Smith, he says, he basically says, I live in a culture, whatever, in a climate that like hurt people. Where Will Smith, and we know what he just did to Chris Rock, and then he keeps Will Smith's face on, and he's like rocking and doing, doing whatever he's doing this thing, and he's like, and he sings, what's the chorus? It's like I want your love, and he says, I need your hug, as Will Smith, and then he says, look what I've done for you, look what I've done for you. It's Kendrick Lamar. K. Dot, Kendrick Lamar. The song is called "The Heart Five," right? But it's powerful, right? And he legit. The whole thing is talking about forgiveness, like or forgiving himself for basically not wanting to be a part of the culture he done. If that's what culture does to you and messes you up, he ain't gonna be a part of it. Then the last verse, he starts talking about dedication and all this stuff. He's really talking about Nipsey the whole time, if you know how the lyrics goes. But he's changed the format in our minds now with the video. But basically, he says he puts on Kobe's face, talking about dedication. Now, once again, I just brought up Kobe. He did some stuff that's megamaniacal and stuff, but he was trying to be about the culture. He's trying to be better than everybody else. The culture of basketball says you're a killer and this and that or whatever. Family be forgotten, all this be forgotten, all these things be forgotten. You know what I'm saying? So like even in that, you still got to be forgiven of Kobe, right? Just because he's not living what's there, it's like you got to see the culture that it is and what we did to lift him up and say, see, you're better than everybody else. It's like, yeah, he became better than a lot of people and one of the greatest to ever play. However, let's not deny the fact that we put him in a place that's very stressful and strenuous, and we had him thinking we rewarded that behavior from when he was a little child. We reward the behavior that has him not talk to his own parents. Right now, in defense, he probably did it because of his relationship with his wife, so he has a right. But I'm just saying, right? And then after that, the last person, that's when he brings Nipsey up, and he says stuff like in the video with Nipsey, when he gets to that part, like it's powerful. Like he even talks about the fact about he talks to the guy that killed him. He says, I saw I can't remember the lyric. Matter of fact, let me see if I can look up the lyrics because it's powerful at the end. It's talking about forgiveness, even to the person that did whatever. And then he knows that there are people that probably can't forgive themselves, because he's gone. So let me look up lyrics. Heart 5, Kendrick Lamar. Probably gonna give me nothing but YouTube videos. Let me see if I can get written lyrics. Okay, here we go. So let me see if. And the whole thing, by the way, he starts out by talking about his perspective, right? He's saying my perspective on things. As I get older, I realize that people have different perspectives. Yeah, he says I'm in heaven, all that part too. Yeah. But verse 3, let me see if I can get there. And I don't know the cadences of it yet, so I'm not going to attempt to rap it for you, but I'm just going to speak through it. Yeah, so watch this. So Euphoria is glorified and made his, reflecting on my life, right? Reflecting on my life and what I've done. Paid dues, made rules, changed out of love. Them same views made schools change curriculums, right? So that's when he's talking as Kobe Bryant, right? But he's really talking to Nipsey, but he puts Kobe's face on so we can see, Kobe was putting his work in. He says, should I feel resentful? I didn't see my full potential. This is Kobe Bryant part. Should I be resentful? I didn't see my full potential, right? Can I forgive myself even though I died? There's a helicopter crash, and think about even like the in-depth stuff. Like it's real powerful stuff because remember how they found Kobe in the helicopter. They found him hugging his daughter, and so basically Kobe's whole thing was to protect his daughter, but he's looking her in the face. So as a father, that's like powerful as a parent, period. But like he wanted to protect his daughter from anything, and he can't protect her. He knows, I don't know what that moment is like to be a father and look your child, and know like I can't. I'm gonna try my best, but I don't know if I can do anything to stop what's gonna happen. You know what I'm saying? So like that's what he's saying, on that part. The video is powerful. I'm thinking about a bunch of other things on top of it too. But it's like, so he says, so it's not just the basketball or his stuff, but also too, but he's also, remember, mainly talking about Nipsey at the same time, who got shot, right? So reflecting on my life and what I've done, paid dues, made rules, changed out of love, then same views, made schools change curriculums. But then he flips over to Nipsey, but didn't change me staring down the barrel of that gun. Should I feel resentful? I didn't see my full potential. Should I feel regret about the good that I was into? Right? Like, should I feel bad about the good? I was doing good, but I got shot for it. You know what I'm saying? Like I feel good, but I was shot for it. Right? Nipsey was out there doing what we trying to do eventually. He had, you know, stores where it was affordable for people in his community, doing all those things. He was giving them the ability to go places, stuff like that. Somebody came to him and wanted him to use a mixtape, that person he didn't want to take the person's mixtape. The person ended up therefore coming back, probably under the guise of somebody that wanted Nipsey dead, and shot him because he disrespected him by not putting on his mixtape, right? Because he was busy doing things for the community, and he was like, yo, that's not my focus right now, whatever, I can't really take it. Yeah, and he probably gets thousands of people, hundreds of people, bare minimum, probably every couple weeks, saying, "Hey, look at my tape, look at this, email that, whatever." Right? So, right, reflecting on my life, what I've done, paid dues, made rules, change out of love. The same views made schools change curriculums, but didn't change me staring down the barrel of the gun. Should I feel resentful? I didn't see my full potential. Should I forgive myself? Right? Should I feel regret about the good that I was into? Is that something that needs to be forgiven? Like, I was into doing this good got me laid out, right? Now, next part, everything is everything. This ain't coincidental. I woke up that morning with more heart to give you, right? As I bleed through the speakers, feel my presence. And so, like, as he says, as I bleed through the speakers, he's back in, he's in, Nipsey's face here. He puts on Nipsey's face here. If y'all seen it, right? As I bleed, what is it? I bleed through the speakers, feel my presence. To my brother, to my kids, I'm in heaven. To my mother, to my sis, I'm in heaven. To my father, to my wife, I am serious. This is heaven. To my friends, make sure that you counting them blessings. To my fans, make sure you make them investments. Remember, he was into investing. So he's saying all this stuff, like, as he's speaking as Nipsey. And he's like, yo, this is what Nipsey was telling us to do. So this is what Nipsey would still want us to do. He's saying to his wife, to his father, to his sister, to his mother, right? And then he says, to my fans, make sure you make them investments. And to the killer, now this is forgiveness. Forgiveness. Think about what this is, Kendrick trying to speak from the perspective of somebody he was a friend with, right? Somebody that he's saying basically he's having like an outer body experience. He's almost saying, in a sense, I'm not saying this is a necessary belief, but in a sense, what he's saying is, I want Kendrick to actually be used as a conduit to allow Nipsey to speak to his family, even put it on his face in the deep fake, right? So peep this. He says, so watch this. And to the killer that sped up my demise. So in other words, it was too early for me. At least I thought I was going to live longer, right? This is Kendrick Lamar, all right? The Heart Five, right? So he says, watch this. He says, to the killer that sped up my demise, I forgive you. Just know that your soul is in question. Wow. So forgiving does not mean that you don't have to deal with this, and whoever killed him isn't going to have to make sure that he has to get himself together. And at some point, he's going to have to deal with consequences that come from it. Right? It's not saying, oh, I forgive you and everything. No, like, I forgive you, but comprehend there's going to be some consequences, and hopefully you get them together, because you got to answer for what you did. So it says, and to the killer that sped up my demise, I forgive you. Just know that your soul's in question. I seen the pain. Now look at this. Look at this, because Kendrick is telling you details. If you haven't studied this, he's telling you details. A lot of people don't know that, like how Nipsey looked and what he thought and how he smiled a little bit and all these different things or whatever when he's sitting there knowing what's about to happen, right? So peep game, right? I forgive you. Just know your soul's in question. I seen the pain in your pupil when that trigger had squeezed. I seen the pain in your pupil when that trigger had squeezed, and though you did me gruesome, I was surely relieved. I seen when you were shooting me, like, I saw how you looked. I saw the pain in your pupil. I saw the pain in your eyes. I saw that this was something that you probably didn't even really want to do, but you can't be disrespected because I wouldn't listen to your mixtape, so you feel like you had to kill me. I know that pain. I come from the same place, right? And Kendrick comes from the same place too, so he's able to empathize and speak on behalf of his close friend, right? So I forgive you. Just know that your soul's in question. I seen the pain in your pupil when that trigger had squeezed, and though you did me gruesome, I was surely relieved. I can forgive you because there's still purpose even in what happened. What's the next part say? I completed my mission, wasn't ready to leave, but fulfilled my days. My creator was pleased. Wow. I'm gonna read all four of them together, right? So after he says, I forgive you, just know your soul's in question. He says, I seen the pain in your pupil when that trigger had squeezed. And though you did me gruesome, I was surely relieved. I completed my mission, wasn't ready to leave, but fulfilled my days. My creator was pleased. You know, like that's powerful, right? It wasn't, I feel like you took me out too early, right? But I saw the pain in your eyes when you squeezed the trigger, right? You did me gruesome, but I was relieved. Why was I relieved though? I can forgive you because I was relieved. Why? Because even though you did me dirty, I saw the right, and I saw that pain in your eye. I also realized I completed my mission. You killed me for completing my mission. So recognize my mission came first. See how we talk about being mission oriented? I completed my mission, wasn't ready to leave, but fulfilled my days. My creator was pleased. Yeah, especially poetry designed to make you think and to feel and things like that. Yeah, right. So, so after that, he says, I can't stress how I love y'all. I don't need to be in flesh just to hug y'all. The memories recollect just because y'all celebrate me with respect. The unity we protect is above all. Then he speaks to his brother after this. He goes straight talking to his brother. And Sam, I'll be watching over you. Make sure my kids watch all my interviews. Make sure you live out your dreams we produce. Keep that genius in your brain on the move. And to my neighborhood, let the good prevail. Make sure them babies and them leaders out of jail. Look for salvation and trouble when troubles get real. Look for what? Look for salvation when troubles get real, because you can't help the world until you help yourself. And I can't blame the hood. The day that I was killed, y'all had to see it. That's the only way to feel, right? This is forgiveness. And this is supposed to be Kendrick trying to say this is Nipsey and what he would feel from the heart. And this is how Nipsey says he feels about the culture and how he feels about all these different things, right? So y'all had to see it. That's the only way to feel. So I can't blame the hood. I don't blame you. I don't need to forgive you, right? The hood for the day that I was killed. Y'all had to see it. That's the only way to feel. If it didn't happen to me, you wouldn't have recognized how wild this culture is that says that the people that are blessing you are the people that it's okay to shoot because they won't listen to a mixtape or they disrespect you or it's your corner or whatever, right? Next part. And though my physical won't reap the benefits, see, I can forgive. Why? Because even if somebody did something dirty to me, even if my life doesn't end up where I want it to be, whatever, and though my physical won't reap the benefits, the energy that carry on emits still. The energy that carries on emits still. And then says, I want you. Right? Like this is nothing but forgiveness. I wish we had more time. We go through the whole song. Matter of fact, I'm gonna just say the whole thing, right? I'm gonna just say the whole thing. We're not gonna break it down. I'm gonna just say the whole thing. He says, I come from a generation of pain where murder is minor, rebellious and marvelous uh, chip for your designer. Belt buckles out of clout, overzealous of prone to violence. Make the wrong turn, be it will or the wheel alignment, right? Residue burned, mist of the inner city, miscommunication to keep homie detective busy. No protection is risky. Which, by the way, that's a play on words. If you missed it, just like, trying to get detectives and stuff for protection and stuff like that is risky. Just like wearing a condom could be risky if you didn't catch that. Desensitized. That's why it says desensitized. Desensitized. I vandalize pain, covered up in camouflage. Get used to hearing arsenal rain. Analyze, risk your life, take the charge. Homies done effed your baby mama once you hit the yard. That's culture. 23-hour lockdown. Then somebody called, said your little nephew was shot down. The culture's involved. I done seen N-words do 17, hit the halfway house, get out and get his brains blown out, looking to buy some weed. Car washes played out, new GoFundMe accounts will proceed. A brand new victim will shatter those dreams, the culture, right? Next verse, and all he says during but I want you to want me too. He's talking about the culture. I want you to want me too, right? I want the hood. I want your love, right? And then he says, look what I've done for you. right? This is what we do. This is what you're dealing with people that need to be forgiven because they are this thing. Look what I done for you, doing some crazy stuff, just so we can say, look what I done for you. Love me back. Love me back. Verse 2, I said, I do this for my culture to let y'all know what an N-word looked like in a bulletproof Rover, right? That's when he had the OJ face on. And my mama's sofa was a doo-doo popper, hair trigger, walk up closer, ain't no photoshopping. Then he puts on Kanye's face. Um, no option. I'm sorry. Wait a minute. Friends bipolar. So he puts on Kanye's face, says, friends bipolar, grab you by your pockets. No option if you froze up. Always play the offense. N-words going to work and selling work, late for work, working late, praying for work, but he on paperwork. That's a bar right there, right? Um, working late. So yeah, that's a bar. N-words going to work and selling work, late for work, working late, praying for work, but he on paperwork. That's the culture. Point the finger, promote you. Remote location, witness protection. They gonna hold you. The streets got me effed up, and when he says that, he puts on Jesse's face. So the streets got me effed up. Y'all can miss me. I want to represent for us. New revelation was up and moving. I'm in Argentina, wiping my tears, full of confusion. So that's when he found out that he was in Argentina at the time when Nipsey got shot. So water in between us. Another peer has been executed. History repeats again, right? Make amends, find an N-word with the same skin to do it. But that's the culture, right? Crack a bottle. Next thing he said, like, so legit, think about what he just said there. I'm not going to break it down, right, too much, but think about what he just said, right? In Argentina, wiping my tears of confusion, water in between us. Another peer has been executed. Um, make amends. I'm sorry. History repeats again. Make amends. Hold on one second. We got wild stuff going on here. So sorry. What was it saying? Where was I at? Oh, okay. Yeah. So I'm in Argentina wiping my tears full of confusion, water in between us. Another peer has been executed. History repeats again. Make amends, then find the N-word with the same skin to do it. But that's the culture. Crack a bottle. Right? Somebody got shot. Right? Somebody got shot. And all these different things or whatever, right? You said what I know about selling work. I'm just repeating lyrics right now, right? So, but um, right? So he's saying all these different things, right? Like these are the things that are going on. So, and then he said, make amends. So basically, history repeats itself again. Another black man gets shot. History repeats itself again. Then he says, make amends, right? Just go ahead and act like everything's okay, right? Make friendship, blah, blah. Then find another N-word, find another black person with the same skin to do it. But that's the culture. Crack a bottle. After that, pour out a bottle, crack a bottle, whatever, right? Right? So crack a bottle, right? Hard to deal with the pain when you're sober. By tomorrow, we forget the remains, we start over. That's the problem. Our foundation was trained to accept whatever follows, dehumanize, insensitive, scrutinize the way we live for you and I. Enemy shook my hand. I can promise I'll meet you, right? And then in the land where there is no equal, never say I ain't told you, nah. And then he's Will Smith's face at this point. Will Smith's face at this point, right? And he says, in the land where hurt people, I'm sorry, in the land where hurt people hurt more people, F calling it culture. And then he dances as Will Smith and says, look what I've done for you. Look what I've done for you, right? Then verse 3, celebrate new life when it come back around. The purpose in the lessons we learning now. Sacrifice personal gain over everything just to see the next generation better than ours. I wasn't perfect. The skin I was in had truly suffered, right? Temptation and patience. So he's going into Nipsey, but now he's going to start getting ready to put Kobe Bryant's face on. So I wasn't perfect. The skin I was in had truly suffered. Temptation and patience, everything that the body nurtures. I felt the good, I felt the bad, and I felt worry. But all in all, my productivity had stayed urgent. Face your fears. I always knew that I would make it here, where the energy is magnified and persevered. Consciousness is synchronized and crystal clear. Euphoria is glorified and made his, reflecting on my life at what I had done, paid dues, made rules, changed out of love. Them same views made schools change curriculums, right? But didn't change me staring down the barrel of that gun. Should I feel resentful for the? Should I feel resentful? I didn't see my full potential. Should I feel regret about the good that I was into? Everything is everything. This ain't coincidental. I woke up that morning with more heart to give you. As I bleed through the speakers, feel my presence. To my brother, to my kids, I'm in heaven. To my mother, to my sis, I'm in heaven. To my father, to my wife, I am serious. This is heaven. To my friends, make sure to my friends, make sure you counting them blessings. And to the killer, that I'm sorry. To my friends, make sure you counting them blessings. To my friends, ah, sorry. To my friends, make sure you counting them blessings. To my fans, make sure you make them investments. And to the killer that sped up my demise, I forgive you. Just know that your soul's in question. I seen the pain in your pupil when that trigger had squeezed, and though you had did me gruesome, I surely was relieved. Um, I completed my mission, wasn't ready to leave, but fulfilled my days. My Creator was pleased. I can't stress how I love y'all. I don't need to be in flesh just to hug y'all. The memories recollect just because y'all celebrate me with respect. The unity we protect is above all. Then he's Nipsey again, and Sam. I'll be watching over you. Make sure my kids watch all my interviews. Make sure you live out your dreams we produce. Keep that genius in your brain on the move. And to my neighborhood, let the good prevail. Make sure them babies and them leaders out of jail. Look for salvation when troubles get real, because you can't help the world until you help yourself. And I can't blame the hood the day that I was killed. Y'all had to see it. That's the only way to feel. And though my physical won't reap the benefits, the energy that I carry on emits still. I want you, right? Like forgiveness. That's all it is forgiveness, right? Forgiveness is powerful. Forgiveness is necessary. Forgiveness is what's going to take us to the next level. And so you got to be in a position to forgive. You know, that's a powerful song. If you get a chance to look it up, once again, it's called The Heart Five, Kendrick Lamar. Look at the video, and it's powerful. I'm gonna tell you that. um, it took my wife and I were saying the same thing. Like the first couple times you see the faces change, it messes with you. How smooth it is and everything. It's very artistically done, but very powerful. Forgiveness, some very real feeling. Yeah, forgiveness is necessary. Forgiveness is powerful. Forgiveness is what's going to help us to move from one place to the next. And you got to be ready to forgive, right? And it's not a weakness to forgive. And really, even like he kept talking about the culture. If you're gonna come out of a culture that's, we keep talking about the culture, the hip hop culture, this culture, that culture, any culture that's causing us to go away from who we are called to be by the Most High is not a culture for us. That's all I have. Amen. Bars, right? That's all I have. Big ups to Kendrick Lamar. Thank you for putting your stuff out there for us to be able to use. Big ups to Nipsey. And those people he lined out, man, forgive them. Forgive Kendrick if you feel like he didn't do blah, blah. Forgive OJ. Forgive, who are the people on there? Forgive Kanye. Forgive Jesse. Forgive uh, Will Smith. Forgive Kobe Bryant. Forgive Nipsey. Forgive yourself. Forgive your family. It doesn't mean that you got to walk with them anymore. Like, remember that lyric, that bar, that one of those bars, and I'm really done. I just want, because somebody's gonna be like, oh well, I'm not just gonna release blah blah, and this person did. Remember one of those lyrics, even where he legit says, matter of fact, it's up. I can just read it, right? And to the killer that sped up my demise, I forgive you. Just know your soul's in question, right? You're not forgiving somebody and being like that. What they did is not in question. I forgive you, but there's consequences, right? And I don't have to give them to you unless you're going to try and take my life or my family's life. Then I got to give you something, right? Or you're going to try to mess with us legally. Then I might have to give you something, right? To protect my family. But, as far as, you know, Just because I forgive you doesn't mean that your soul's not in question. Just because I forgive you doesn't mean that you don't need to be better. So thank you everybody for being on. We appreciate you. We honor the king and queen in each and every one of you. I'm going to try my best to make sure that we execute all the meetings that we have today. I will try to reach out to some people today. Forgive me, I am going to be a little slow today, and I do need a little bit of rest. I apologize again for us not being on yesterday. Just stuff happened, signal happened, stuff like that. Couldn't make it work. But we I plan on being back on tonight, and we look forward to talking to everybody very soon. And please check your emails if you'd like to be able to give anything: time, talent, effort, energy, prayers, even finance if you want. We have that stuff. If you're on YouTube or on the podcast, just look in the description box. If you're on TikTok, just look up where it says info for a little bit of information on us, or bio, excuse me, where it says on TikTok versus bio. And you can look right underneath that where it says website. The website has our link tree. The link tree has all types of stuff, whether it be Patreon, helping us to acquire this land. If you'd like to be able to help us, we're really trying to start just putting stuff in people's position in the community where, hey, this is yours, this is yours, this is yours. And we'll check in with everybody, make sure we're all in one assembly and all in one accord. But whatever you want to give, any type of donation, some of you give offerings, some of you even give tithes, some of you do others to bless the community, etc. We appreciate you. Thank you to everybody on last Friday. If you went out and blessed somebody in the community, every first Friday we try to do so. Hopefully you make that a normalcy in your life. And prayerfully, you got something out of this that was powerful. Once again, we give all praise and honor to the Most High. We give all praise and honor to my wife, the Honorable Maya. You can check her out on TikTok, YouTube, her website, and Pinterest at Bloom and Flourish. Not A&D, the letter N, Bloom and Flourish. You can also email her at Bloom and Flourish, the number 1, at gmail.com. So it's the letter N, not A&D, Bloom, Bloom, N, Flourish, Flourish, the number 1 at gmail.com. And those of you who have not heard from her as of yet on certain things that you asked me about, she is aware of your requests, and she's looking at trying to get back to you ASAP. And thank you all so much. Continue to keep us in prayer. As I said, it's having a little bit of rough time, and I won't give you all the business, but I'm having to consider some stuff that it's not really something I want to do, but it might be something that's necessary. So just keep us in prayer. Prayerfully, everything will be all right. And my family and I will make the correct decisions. Won't have anything to do with you guys, but it's just stuff that's personal. So just keep us in prayer. We honor you. We thank you. We appreciate you. Thank you to those that are helping in all the different areas you are, and those who are taking on even more responsibility. We thank you so much, and we will talk to you later on. The goal is to be back on at 8 p.m. And know that once we're on at 8 p.m. tomorrow, Wednesday, I'm taking off, as I've been advised by my wife and others who are part of our, management team, if you will, project management team. So I'll be taking tomorrow off, and we'll start trying to take Wednesdays off. So I will do my best to be with you tonight. Those who are on Patreon will start at 7 p.m. and then we'll finish. We'll finish whenever everything finishes. Those that'll be coming on TikTok, you'll be able to join us right at 8 p.m. and then have like another half hour with us to talk about what we're talking about this evening. So prayerfully, you got something out of forgiveness. We're going through this frequently asked questions series, and we look forward to it. Please check your emails again, because a lot of people said that they weren't getting stuff. So I kind of made a whole brand new one and put it out there to everybody. Just look on there, fill the information out, let us know. That way we can send you something else out later on. And we're thankful and grateful to you. And we appreciate you. As always, this has been Pastor Kofi, Pastor Servant to Christ, where we are always changing lives one mind at a time by being the voice of the voiceless and speaking the unspoken. And until I have the great privilege, opportunity, and responsibility of being in front of you all again, I want you to please remember, as always, Yastel, that you are loved, you are necessary, you are majestic, you're fearfully and wonderfully made, and you, which is all of us working together, will be the reason why people who are in this system no longer have to be of it. Shalom, everybody, and do not forget that this is our year where we're living in that which we have pursued. We've been pursuing things for so long. We're now living in that which we have pursued. Those in Chicago, please put on your calendar. We're going to make sure we're meeting up May 27th, 28th, 29th. At least for now, those are the dates that we have, and we'll look at different areas possibly of having different meetups, to make sure that we can do something central to everybody. So thank you again. We appreciate you. We honor you. We look forward to meeting some of you very soon. And we'll talk to you guys later. Shalom. Peace.